They told you strength was loud. They taught you that the man who speaks the most, who moves the most, who fills every silence with sound, is the one who leads. But a real strength, it doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need validation. It's quiet, almost frighteningly quiet, because it no longer seeks to prove anything. The loudest men you'll ever meet are usually the ones most desperate to hide their fear. They cover their insecurity with motion, their doubt with noise, their weakness with constant displays of confidence that never quite feel real. Watch them. In every room they fight for attention like drowning men gasping for air. But the one who stands still, who listens, who doesn't need to speak, that is the man who unsettles them. His calmness isn't confusion, it's calculation. His silence isn't emptiness, it's control. He knows something they don't. Power doesn't scream. It breathes slowly. It watches. It waits. The illusion of strength that weak men live by is built on reaction. They mistake energy for authority, anger for dominance, and chaos for control. But a man ruled by reaction can never rule anything beyond himself. The world manipulates him with ease. A single insult, a glance, a challenge, and he crumbles. Because his power exists only in the approval of others. The calm man, on the other hand, doesn't flinch. He's not numb, he's precise. His restraint is a language few understand. When chaos rises, he doesn't move. When others explode, he observes. To the weak, that silence is terrifying because they can't measure it, they can't predict it, they can't control it. The unknown is always more frightening than the obvious, and calmness in its truest form is pure unpredictability. Every culture has recognized this in its own way. The samurai who keeps his sword sheathed, the general who commands with a whisper, the philosopher who smiles while the crowd screams. They all share one truth. The man who remains still while others panic has already won the battle. Because calmness is a declaration, not of peace, but of dominance. You can sense it in any confrontation. The louder one gets, the more he loses himself. His pulse quickens, his voice cracks, his face tightens. He reveals everything. But the calm one gives nothing, no tells, no weakness, just presence. That presence eats at the weak man's mind like rust. He starts doubting himself, filling the silence with excuses, aggression, justification, anything to escape the quiet. Because deep down, he knows. The one who doesn't react holds the power. True calmness is not absence, it's mastery. It's the ability to feel chaos without becoming it. To witness your own rage, fear, or pride rise, and yet stay unmoved. It's the difference between men who crumble when tested and men who turn every test into proof of control. The illusion of strength will always seduce the insecure. The flex, the argument, the need to be seen. But that illusion dies the moment it meets real composure. The calm man doesn't compete because he's already conquered what everyone else is still fighting, himself. And once a man rules his own emotions, the world can't touch him. As the saying goes, the loudest man in the room is the one who fears silence. The calm one, he fears nothing. There's a reason predators move slowly before they strike. Their calm isn't hesitation, it's calculation. In the same way, a powerful man's stillness is not passivity, it's precision. Every movement, every silence, every glance is deliberate. Weak men see this and confuse it for indecision because they can't imagine having the strength to wait. They think reacting fast is control, but control isn't speed, it's restraint. The man who has mastered stillness has fought a war inside himself and won. He has learned to delay the impulse, to silence the scream, to observe rather than explode. That kind of control doesn't come from comfort. It comes from surviving chaos. When you've seen your emotions rise like storms and refuse to let them steer you, you realize something profound. Calmness isn't peace. It's preparation. There's a power in stillness that makes others uneasy, because when you refuse to react, you take away their influence. People who rely on emotional manipulation, anger, guilt, pity, suddenly lose their weapons. Your lack of response exposes their weakness. The silence stretches, and they start to break under their own noise. That's the quiet power of composure. It reflects others back to themselves. Psychologically, calmness is a dominance signal. In nature, the alpha doesn't flinch. The lion doesn't roar to prove he's king. His very stillness asserts it. The same applies to men. The calmer you are under pressure, the more authority you project. Because calmness says, "I've been here before. I know how this ends." It's the confidence of experience, not the arrogance of impulse. But make no mistake, stillness is not emptiness. Inside the calm man, there's movement. Precise, intentional, invisible. His mind is always measuring, preparing. He's not suppressing emotion. He's converting it into clarity. When others waste energy trying to be seen, he's building energy to act when it matters. The difference between them is simple. One seeks control, the other is control. So the question becomes, could you remain still when every part of you wants to react? Could you let an insult pass without defense? Could you face conflict without showing fear, without proving yourself? Most men can't. Their calm collapses the moment it's tested, because their strength was only ever surface level. True calm is built on scars, on knowing that no storm outside you can match the ones you've already survived inside. This is the hidden power of stillness. It doesn't announce victory, it ensures it. The next section will reveal what it costs to build that kind of composure. The pain of becoming untouchable. Becoming calm isn't a blessing. It's a consequence. No man wakes up one day composed, unshakable, immune to chaos. That kind of stillness is carved out of pain. It's forged in the dark hours where you had no choice but to endure. Every unreturned call, every betrayal, every moment you realized no one was coming to save you. That's where the foundation of your calm was laid. Weak men crumble when life breaks their rhythm. Strong men break, and then study the sound. The calm that terrifies others begins as a silence forced upon you by disappointment. It's the quiet you fall into after explaining yourself one too many times. It's the stillness that follows when anger no longer changes anything. Over time, you learn. Reacting doesn't fix the betrayal. Shouting doesn't bring respect. Chasing doesn't earn loyalty. So you stop. You retreat inward. The world calls it indifference, but it's really resurrection, the death of dependence, and the birth of control. In that isolation, something shifts. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What does this teach me?" You realize pain isn't punishment, it's purification. It burns away your illusions. The illusion that people will always understand you, that life will be fair, that effort will guarantee reward. Once those illusions die, you're left with something rare. Self-reliance. Not the loud, rebellious kind, but the quiet certainty that you can survive anything. It's during this transformation that the world starts labeling you cold. They'll say you've changed, that you've become distant. They're right. You have. You've built walls not to keep people out, but to keep your peace in. You no longer react because you no longer need validation. You no longer explain because truth doesn't need an audience. You've felt every kind of pain. And now, you've mastered the art of not bleeding in public. This is where calmness hardens into armor. When betrayal comes, you don't flinch. When chaos rises, you breathe slower. People mistake it for apathy, but it's actually awareness. The understanding that your reaction is a currency, and you won't spend it cheaply. You've learned the ancient rule. He who cannot control his emotions will always be controlled through them. So yes, calmness is power, but it's not free. The cost is isolation, the kind that refines you through fire until silence feels safer than noise. You lose the comfort of being understood, but gain the sovereignty of not needing to be. And once you've felt that, there's no going back, because when you've faced pain without letting it consume you, you become untouchable. The world can threaten, insult, abandon, but it cannot move you. You've been broken, rebuilt, and baptized in your own suffering. And what's left is something no one can manufacture or fake. The kind of calm that only exists on the other side of hell. In the next section, that calm will stop being a shield and start becoming a weapon. The quiet will no longer just protect you. It will command others. This is where stillness turns into strategy, the weaponization of calm. At first your calm was just survival, a shield to endure the chaos. But once you master it, something darker happens. It becomes a weapon. You realize that silence can disarm faster than any argument, that a blank expression can shake a man more deeply than anger ever could. Because when you no longer react, people lose their grip on you, and that loss of control terrifies them. In a world addicted to attention, calmness becomes psychological warfare. The weak crave reaction. They throw insults, provoke emotions, stir chaos, not to win, but to confirm they matter. When you give them nothing, they start to unravel. Their confidence cracks under your indifference. Their voice rises, but your eyes stay still. That stillness, that refusal to engage, is dominance in its purest form. It says, "You don't move me. You never could." History and power have always been shaped by those who mastered this kind of restraint. Samurai warriors were trained to remain motionless even with a blade at their throat. Negotiators and generals know that the first to lose composure loses the battle. Calmness creates psychological gravity. It pulls the other into your pace, your rhythm. The impatient are forced to wait. The emotional are forced to feel their own chaos. You don't defeat them. They defeat themselves in your silence. The weaponized calm is not passive. It's active control. You are no longer trying to suppress emotion. You are directing it. When others act from impulse, you act from timing. Every pause, every delayed response, every measured look becomes a move in a larger game. Weak men want power now. Strong men build tension until the world bends toward them. That's what calmness does. It inverts control. But here lies the danger. Power changes the air around you. Once you discover how easily silence can unnerve others, it's tempting to wield it carelessly. The line between discipline and manipulation thins. You'll find yourself enjoying the unease you create. The way people stumble to fill your pauses, the way they seek your reaction, like oxygen. And this is the test. Can you use your calm without letting it become cruelty? Weaponized calm is only righteous when it's governed by purpose, not ego. Use it to protect your energy, not to drain others. Use it to lead, not to belittle. Because once your stillness becomes a game of control, you become the same as the weak, just quieter. The true warrior uses calm to dominate himself first, and everything else second. You've now seen what calm can do to the world, how silence bends power, how composure becomes command. But calm is only half the transformation. To stay powerful without becoming hollow, a new version of you must emerge. One who acts with intention, detached but dangerous. And that evolution begins next, the birth of the Stoic predator. When calmness evolves beyond defense and restraint, something new is born, a kind of man both feared and admired, the Stoic predator. He is not loud, not impulsive, not emotional, yet everything about him radiates silent authority. He doesn't chase power, he emanates it. He doesn't seek validation. His very presence demands it. This is not calmness as a shield anymore. It's calmness as identity. The Stoic predator is not heartless. He's harnessed. Every emotion has been tamed, every weakness catalogued and refined. He has walked through the fire of rejection, loss, and humiliation, and emerged without the need to prove he survived. The world sees a man unbothered, detached, almost cold, but beneath that still surface is a storm he controls completely. His calm is not emptiness, it's containment, like a blade sheathed, like a beast trained. It's power with purpose. He no longer argues because he knows his silence says more. He doesn't rush decisions because he understands that timing is a weapon. He doesn't seek revenge because he knows patience delivers better punishment. He speaks less, but when he does, people listen, not because of volume, but because of weight. His words carry force because they are rare, intentional, earned through mastery of restraint. Philosophically, this man stands at the intersection of ancient Stoicism and modern dominance psychology. Like Marcus Aurelius, he governs himself before governing others. Like Nietzsche's Übermensch, he transcends the emotional limitations of the herd. He isn't cold to the world. He's just no longer ruled by it. In a society that rewards outrage, his composure becomes rebellion. In a culture addicted to validation, his indifference becomes seduction. But this transformation doesn't come without risk. Once you learn to detach, it's easy to drift into apathy, to stop caring entirely. The Stoic predator walks a razor's edge. He feels deeply but controls completely. He must remain human enough to connect, yet disciplined enough to never depend. That's the paradox of his strength. His calm isolates him, yet it's that isolation that grants him clarity. He becomes the man who can enter chaos and remain unchanged. His presence resets the environment. His energy recalibrates others. He's not the loudest, not the most muscular, not even the most charismatic, but he's the one everyone watches, because he embodies something rare, composure under fire. He's the calm in the middle of every storm, and that's what makes him dangerous. From here, the question is no longer how to stay calm, but how to use emotion itself as fuel for mastery. The Stoic predator doesn't suppress his emotions. He transmutes them. The next evolution isn't silence. It's alchemy. Next comes the alchemy of emotion, where control becomes creation and calm turns into power. True mastery doesn't come from killing your emotions. It comes from converting them. The calm man doesn't reject his darkness. He refines it. Every emotion he feels, anger, fear, desire, envy, becomes raw material for transformation. This is the alchemy of emotion, the ancient art of turning inner chaos into control and control into power. Anger, in its pure form, is energy. Most men waste it. They erupt, they argue, they self-destruct. But the disciplined man channels it. He takes the fire of rage and forges it into focus. When he's insulted, he doesn't react. He calculates. When he's rejected, he doesn't collapse. He rebuilds. The weak man burns himself trying to be seen. The strong man burns obstacles quietly. That's emotional transmutation, using your pain as propulsion. Fear, too, becomes a tool. Instead of paralyzing him, it sharpens his vision. Fear is information. It shows him where he must grow, what he must face, what he must overcome. Every great warrior, philosopher, and leader has used fear as compass rather than cage. They don't escape it. They stand inside it until it bends. Desire is no longer lust for validation or pleasure. It becomes drive. The calm man still wants, but he wants with discipline. His ambition is cold, focused, surgical. He doesn't chase dopamine. He chases legacy. Every impulse that once ruled him now serves him. That's what separates emotional boys from psychological kings. Jung called this shadow integration, the process of facing the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide. Most men suppress their darkness, but the wise man learns to hold it in his hands without fear. He doesn't pretend to be pure. He becomes whole. Because what you deny controls you, but what you understand, you command. In this alchemical state, emotion and logic fuse. The man is no longer torn between his mind and his feelings. They move as one. Anger sharpens his logic. Love refines his mission. Loss deepens his focus. The same emotions that once ruled him now power his evolution. Control is not the absence of emotion. He realizes it's the throne above it. This is the final layer of calm. No longer silence, but synthesis. A state where nothing inside you is wasted. Nothing outside you can dominate. You become both storm and stillness, chaos and order. A paradox that radiates power. And once you reach this level of mastery, you begin to emit something strange and magnetic. People feel it before they understand it. They start to orbit you without knowing why. That force has a name. The law of psychological gravity. When a man masters his emotions, his presence changes the room. People can't explain it, but they feel it. The air grows heavier. Time slows. Conversation bends toward him. This is not charisma. It's not charm. It's psychological gravity. The invisible pull of a man completely in control of himself. He doesn't need to demand attention because attention is a natural law that follows composure. Weak men chase validation. They talk louder, move faster, compete harder, hoping the world will notice. But the calm man does the opposite. He withdraws his energy, and in doing so, everyone else's attention collapses toward him. It's paradoxical but inevitable. The less you seek to be seen, the more people see you. The more you detach from approval, the more authority you radiate. Control creates its own orbit. This is the same principle that governs nature. The sun doesn't chase planets. They revolve around it. The black hole doesn't announce its power. Its silence bends light itself. So it is with the calm man. His inner stillness becomes a gravitational field that others subconsciously respect. People feel safe around him, or intimidated, depending on what lives inside them. For the weak, his calm is a mirror reflecting their chaos. For the strong, it's a beacon drawing them closer. The law of psychological gravity states, what you control within, you command without. It's the inversion of modern weakness. The man who cannot control his emotions will always lose influence because his reactions are predictable. But the man who remains composed forces the world to adapt to him. His pace becomes the room's rhythm. His silence becomes everyone else's tension. In relationships, business, and conflict, this law is undefeated. The calm man sets the emotional tone. If he's stable, others align. If he's cold, others chase warmth. If he's firm, Others yield. This is why leadership has nothing to do with rank. It's about resonance. Energy flows towards structure, and the calm man is the most structured energy there is. But there's a hidden cost. The stronger your gravity becomes, the fewer people can exist within it. Not everyone can handle silence that deep, presence that still, or eyes that see without reaction. The very force that draws people in eventually pushes them away. Because to hold this level of power, you must detach from everything that could destabilize it. And that includes comfort, familiarity, and sometimes even love. Which leads to the final truth, the cold price of mastery. The moment your calm becomes absolute, you stop belonging anywhere. There's a silence that no one warns you about. The silence that comes after victory. When you've mastered yourself, when nothing shakes you, when no one's opinion can move you, the world grows very quiet. You become an island of composure in a sea of noise. People respect you. They even fear you, but they rarely understand you. Because calmness, at its highest form, is isolation. This is the final cost of power, detachment. The same walls that protect your peace also keep others out. You stop seeking connection the way you once did because you've realized how fragile most connections are. Built on shared weakness, not shared strength. You find yourself surrounded by people who admire your control, yet cannot meet you in it. They crave your stability, but your steadiness makes them uncomfortable. They mistake your silence for arrogance, your peace for distance, your solitude for sadness. But you know better. You've simply outgrown the chaos they still need. Power comes with loneliness, because few can breathe the air at this altitude. The calm man doesn't hate others. He just understands them too well. He sees through their motives, their masks, their emotional games. And once you see everything clearly, innocence is gone forever. You can't unlearn detachment. You can't return to a world that thrives on reaction when you've learned to live without it. So you live quietly. You move strategically. You speak rarely. You stop explaining, because those who need explanation are already too far below to hear it. Your calm becomes a kind of armor. Beautiful, heavy, sacred. You no longer fight battles. You simply outlast them. You no longer chase peace. You are peace. But peace is a lonely crown. This is the paradox of mastery. What once made you strong now separates you. You've built yourself into the mountain, steady, immovable, eternal. But mountains don't walk among men. To reach this state is to trade warmth for clarity, belonging for freedom. And that trade, once made, cannot be undone. Because the calm that terrifies weak men also consumes strong ones, fade to black. No music, just breath.